The views expressed in this video are solely those of the host and the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization or entity that may be affiliated with. We encourage the viewer to conduct their own research.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the PackBreakers, a show about tobacco harm reduction and the people of tobacco harm reduction. Today's show is an important one. It talks about the frontline workers in the tobacco harm reduction space, the independent, owner-operated vape shops. Small vape shops around the country that offer a service as well as products that help many individuals quit smoking as well as practice harm reduction. While researching the show, I looked at a number of things in history, and one of the things that interest me the most is what is an e-cigarette and where did it come from? And I was quite surprised that in my research I discovered that the very first patent for an electronic cigarette was filed in 1927 and eventually provided by the Patents Office in the United States in 1930. It was also very interesting that over that period of time that there were numerous patents from different inventors and entrepreneurs around the United States and the rest of the world in search of a product that removed combustion from nicotine delivery. All of them had never reached a commercial state. However, in 2003, a Chinese pharmacist by the name of Han Ling was the very first person to invent an e-cigarette that became commercially viable. In 2006, were the very first e-cigarettes available in the United States and in Europe. When we look at a South African context, vaping was available around about the 2006-2007 period, but these were small individuals that were importing their products from around the world. In 2008, South Africa's first real giant in the e-cigarette market came to life, and that was Twisp. Twisp rapidly became the mainstay of many individuals that started off on this route, on this journey to become smoke-free. When I continued researching, I then tried to find out when was the first tobacco company involved in e-cigarettes. And that was back in 2012, 2013, when L'Oreal, which is the third biggest tobacco manufacturer in the United States, bought Blue, an e-cigarette company in the same country, United States. In South Africa, in 2017, British American Tobacco South Africa made a play on Twisp. Unfortunately, there was a lot of regulations and hurdles that they had to accomplish, but it was only in 2019 when British American Tobacco had successfully bought out Twisp and introduced a new product to the market called Voos. The individuals that I'm speaking to today had their activities or started their activities in the space before that time. So I'd like to welcome, as I said, the frontliners in tobacco harm reduction in South Africa, Elna and Keiran. Elna is the owner-operator for a shop in the Benoni area called Vape Domain, and Keiran is an owner-operator of a shop in the Alberton area and a shop in Cape Town called the Vape Hotel. Thank you very much. Welcome, guys. Elna, I'd like to start with you. And always with every one of these episodes, I look at you as an individual. Were you a smoker before you started vaping?
Yes, good, definitely, for many years. You know, now being a vapor, you don't like telling people, yeah, I used to smoke as well. But yes, the truth remains, I was a smoker for 27 years. I smoked 40 plus. By the time I go to bed, I could open up another packet of 20. And then that will actually make it 50 plus cigarettes a day. I come from Benson and Hedges. That was my brand. And then eventually moved over to a menthol cigarette. But today I'm the happiest person ever. If it wasn't for vaping, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't look so good. Yeah.
When did you start smoking? Can you remember?
Yeah, I was 15 years old
Okay.
when I started smoking. So calculate the years back.
Well, we don't
when
need to do that on the show.
Okay,
But yeah.
thank you. Yeah, I was 15. 15. So obviously you smoke scallum, if I can use that word,
Yes.
because your parents didn't know that you smoke. And you could actually buy your cigarettes off of a school bus by those little hidden shops before you get home, and then you hide them. You could get packets of 10s in those days, and they were dirt cheap.
So when did you actually quit? Or did you try to quit over those years?
Yes, I did, with gum.
Okay.
Gum,
Nicotine gum.
nicotine gum. Someone actually told me that that can help you. That was before I even thought about any vaping. Try to use gum, but then, I mean, the amount of gum you chew, I'm not going to have any teeth left by the time I'm 50. So it's not good for me. I want to blow something out of my mouth.
Okay.
I'm a smoker. So I want to see that.
Okay.
That's me. But yes.
Okay. And when did you eventually give up smoking?
2016, May the 13th.
My word.
Yes.
Okay. Keiran, were you a smoker?
I was not a traditional smoker. Obviously, through high school, same as like Elna mentioned, you have the scallum cigarette here and there, and it's a cool thing to do at a house party, that kind of stuff. I was on the other end of the spectrum in terms of teenage habits and young adult habits. Mine was hubbly or hookah pipe. Probably also around the same age, 15, started becoming the cool thing you do with all your friends on the weekends. And then you go to varsity and now you see hubblies on university campus. You're like, oh, sick, I'm in. And all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of new friends that you never had before because you got this hubbly that's going. And yeah, I also became super fit. My parents never found out about the hubbly addiction, but my mate Jared, we used to go to gym every evening for about 45 minutes, and gym session was 2.5 hours because we'd land up back at his house smoking hubbly for an hour afterwards.
Okay.
And yeah, basically my journey to quitting was also very different at that point. Probably smoking hubbly, honestly, 6 or 7 times a week. I never thought about it beforehand. I'd never say I was addicted to it, kind of thing, until I didn't do it anymore. I never thought it was a problem. I never tried to quit or anything like that. It was always just this social thing that you did with mates. And yeah, I went across, at the time I was dating a girl who was studying in the US, and went across the first time. Cruising through the airport, backpack, hubbly sticking out the top. How's that guy? Yeah, and went across there, and people looked at me funny, like, what is this thing you have? Like, they'd never seen a hubbly, at least in Texas where I was. And it became a mission, like, I've got to clean this thing, I've got to rack this thing, I've got to start it and smoke it by myself. And it became a bit of a pain in the ass, to be perfectly honest. And this was 2013, start of sort of like the US boom in vaping. And all throughout Austin, you found these stores popping up, smoke shops. You're like, what is this? And I walked in the one, and they had a whole bunch of starter kit vapes there. I was like, this looks so much easier. So I'm going to get me a vape. And I bought a little vape, and I'll never forget, I bought a watermelon flavor with no nicotine and a vanilla flavor with no nicotine. I was like, this is so much easier. But after 3 days, I was literally ready to pull my hair out. And that's when I realized I had a nicotine addiction. When I didn't get the nicotine in my system. And yeah, pretty much from there, the rest is history. Came back to South Africa, couldn't get replacement coils, couldn't get replacement liquids, and started importing stuff in for myself. And from there, people found out that this is cool, I want to try this too. And the orders became group buys and eventually became stock buys.
Okay. So If I start with you, Keiran, we were having a conversation off screen here, and you were indicating that you had started your vape shop, for lack of a better word, from the boot of your car. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct. You know, it became the traditional hustle. Like I said, you know, throughout 2013, I was importing obviously stuff for myself and, you know, for friends that knew about it, kind of thing. And 2014, I took the plunge and maxed my credit card out and brought in some stock. And that stock literally was a box about 60 centimeters by 60 centimeters. It held 130 ml bottles, and that was Vape Cartel.
Okay.
Vape Cartel was in a cardboard box in the boot of the car, and eventually it got to a point where the boot was no longer big enough, and we evolved. And by evolution, I mean my mom's garage.
Yeah. And that's where I got to meet you.
Yeah.
I was at your mom's garage. So full disclosure, Keiran and Elna I've known for some time now. And Keiran was one of those very first vape shops that I had the pleasure of engaging with. And interestingly enough, I used to buy stuff from Keiran and then for people at my office and give it to them the following day. So I became a vape courier for Vape Cartel. Elna, how did your business start?
2016. The fact that I said now that before I use the gum, but now I'm obviously not going to keep on chewing this gum. Need to find something else. My husband then one morning woke up and said, like, let's go see if we can find ourselves these machines. I said, no, I don't know. You don't know, but let's give it a try. And we visited a store in Benoni, actually, and the lady set us up, and I just wanted to make sure that I've got enough batteries, because as soon as I heard that this thing's working off of batteries, I just think about it, it's going to go flat. I can't have that. So I had more batteries than juice. So I had batteries, I had a charger, enough juice. Back in the day, 30 mils was the thing. You in little glass bottle with those dripper and small little Pico setup. That was my first setup, single battery, but that's okay. And it worked for me. While I was sitting charging my battery, I was actually having my last cigarette. I've got on my phone my date, my time when I last smoked my cigarette. My battery's charging. I'm waiting for this. Les says, if you want to smoke, take your last one, and then that's it. I haven't picked up a cigarette since 13 May 2016.
My word.
And then my day 12, for me was actually, you get a bit edgy. Not that this didn't work. I had 6 milligram, good old fashioned 6 milligram. You pull that tank, your tank looked like an hourglass, but you suck on it, okay? Because that was available. Yeah. But it worked. So every time I got a craving for cigarettes, not a craving for a cigarette. I think it's the fact that it's easy. Taking your cigarettes, light your smoke, and off you go. Maybe it was that convenience of having it on you. I just had my vape. I've never looked back. I said to Les, if this can work for me, I have to sell this to everybody else that's smoking. And that became our business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was started in your home?
And we started in our home.
Okay.
And then our first customers was friends and family. We didn't bully them. If anybody see this, we didn't make you to vape. Yes.
Yeah.
So we weren't like drug pushers?
No, we helped
That's
you
tough
guys.
to believe that in Benoni that you weren't pushing these things.
No, we weren't.
Okay.
Look, my ears are going to go red, guys. So, no, you get your friends in, and then your family, everybody who smoked, you try and convince to start vaping. I've actually had my last friend, my EMPD friend. He picked up vaping last year. November this year is actually 1 year. And so I've got no more friends that smoke combustible cigarettes, legit.
Well, that's a good segue into the next exploration of this discussion is that the type of people that come to your shop,
Yeah.
who are they? And what is, in your feeling, I know it's difficult because it would require data and stats, but in your general feeling, what is the success rate of individuals that have come into your shop that had a smoking problem and wanted to quit and eventually did quit? Do you have any inkling of what that is?
Yes. I do not have one customer that was introduced to a vape, whether it's a small little pot device or a bigger dual battery device with extra batteries, correct nicotine, that picked up vaping, that's either still smoking. I don't have those. I've got my customer base, they elderly people, not old people, but they 35 plus. I've got customers that's in their 60s. Good. I've got those. They want to vape. They want to live the last couple of 20 odd years of their lives healthy. So yeah, I definitely have a success rate.
And do they generally look healthier or express that
Of
they are
course,
healthy?
they look healthier. You have to compliment the ladies that come in there.
Okay.
Yes, they've got more energy. They actually look healthier. You know, when people come in there and they've been smoking a lot, but like a lot. Some of the guys, I can use this guy's name, if I'm allowed to. So Johan is a customer of mine. He is in his 40s, but when he came to me in 2018, he had like darker rings around his eyes, and he's also had a diabetic, but not a list for life, if I can say that.
Yes.
So his brother started vaping. He wanted to try this as well. Got Johan's, Marius's brother. Johan is a different person. He's been vaping since 2018. Like I said, my customers, I start them off on a 6 because that was what was available for me then. I believe in a 6. It's strong enough. You put a right coil in it, it will work perfectly. And today he's doing a 3 milligram. He doesn't vape as much as he used to back in 2018. So they come once a month for their liquids and top-ups and coils, but yeah, general, very, very healthy. Still diabetic though, but a lot more energy, a lot more healthier looking. Yeah.
Well, I'd like you to introduce me to
Yes.
this customer, and maybe we can have an interview with him and ask him about his experience as a
Sure.
customer.
Sure.
Keiran, your customer base and the general demographic.
So, on our side, I'd say we run at a successful quit rate of around 85 to 90%. I'm not too sure how many customers Elna sees, but I think, we probably see a hell of a lot more than what she does. And our demographic is wide. Hey, we obviously, if you're under 18, we turn you away, and we probably 5 to 10 of those people a day still trying their luck. Our oldest customer is 93.
Sure.
Yeah, she's been vaping for 7 years now.
Wow.
Hated us through COVID, but what could we do? I'd also say probably average age of our customers about 35 to 40 years old as well. And we deal with everyone. We have emergency services people. We have security guards that come through our store. We've got guys that are mega rich that, like, if you told them your life depends on this, you need to spend all your money this week, like, they wouldn't know where to start. We've got celebrities that come through. We've got just average Joes that come through. We literally probably see the sample of the South African demographic through our store on a daily basis.
Okay. Now, I think you touched on a subject there, is that as independent small vape shop owners, and I think it's probably applied to many of the small businesses around South Africa, is 2020 and the impact of the sales ban. I'd like to explore around what did that sales ban do to you as a business, and what did it do to your customers? over that period of time? I think we'll start off with Keiran.
So let's start off with the consumer. It was the hardest thing ever for us in terms of any challenges that we've faced. We've always put ourselves out there. If any customer walks into our store and they need something, we will make it happen. Like, okay, barring selling them crack cocaine, like, we will make it happen. As long as it's legal, I'll do it. And, to turn customers away and say, listen, guys, like, we cannot take the risk of selling you anything at this point in time. Honestly, it just was so demoralizing and, really just upset a lot of people for lack of a better phrase. From a business point of view, realistically, I'd say we were about 3 to 5 days from closing doors permanently. We ran up bills with landlords that we had to obviously pay. We had stock that no one was prepared for 2020. There was a lot of stock that, through the normal course of sales would have sold before it had reached its best before dates. And we probably threw 600,000-700,000 rands worth of stock out over a 9-month period that had now reached its best before dates that, legally we weren't allowed to sell or do anything with once it's reached that date anyway, but would have sold probably 80 to 90% of that stock through a normal course of business. We had to unfortunately lay off 4 of our staff members. It resulted in the closure of our distribution brand, which has never come back. It was tough.
How many staff did you have before January 2020?
So before 2020, we had 9 staff, excluding myself. We dropped down to 5, and that was the 5 core staff members. So I did retain our general manager, for lack of a better phrase, Chad. He's been with me 11 years this year. So he's my go-to guy. Like, if I need anything done, Chad's the guy that gets it done. And, secondly, from a financial point, we kept our sales guys. They're the cheapest guys to keep. I'm not trying to be funny about it, like, they are the cheapest guys to keep. But we knew that when we reopened, they were the most essential guys we had to have on board as well. They're the guys that know the systems, know the customers, and were able to get the job done when we eventually could reopen.
Have you recovered from that, or are you in a better spot or in a worse spot before 2020?
So I'd say only in about the last 12 months we've actually started reaching numbers from a retail point of view of where we were going into COVID. And these are obviously numbers that we were sustaining for 24, 36 months, as well as a little bit of growth before the 2020 lockdown happened. We've only just now reached those kinds of numbers again. Obviously, from a business point of view, we are still behind. We don't have a wholesale and distribution arm of the business. However, we can obviously scrap that off because we're not doing that, and we also don't have the costs involved with that. But yeah, from 2020, I'd say only in the last 12 months have we kind of gotten back to where we were when we let off. What that does pose is there's a 3-year gap that there's been no growth or massively reduced business practice that's been going on. So we'll never know how far behind we are.
Okay. Elna, you obviously have a different setup, from a scale perspective, but the impact was probably just as devastating with your customers as what Keiran has portrayed. And given the fact that I know that a number of your customers are definitely an older age group than the typical vape shop, what was the general feeling of those customers, and how did it impact you that period of time?
Look, Kurt, I can only be honest with you, yeah. Customers got so upset because you can't supply them anything, especially in the hard lockdown. I haven't had so many new elderly customers 2020 called January to March when we were put in lockdown, but we still had the older customers from before then. So obviously people couldn't buy their vape gear. They couldn't buy their liquid either, because the day when lockdown was, when was it? 21 March? Was it
26th of March?
26th of March, somewhere there. So only the people who got paid to say that much on the 25th. I mean, we worked that night prior to lockdown. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us did. We worked like overtime because those people could have a little bit of their nicotine, etc. But now going into lockdown, now we are all locked in. We can't go anywhere. Customers you can't even get cigarettes because she locked up everything, that minister.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
know who the devil is.
Sorry guys, let me just get myself. So this everything was closed. What do people do when you can't get something? What do? You're gonna find something somewhere. If you need to vape, if you need to smoke, you're gonna make a plan. So people start phoning around friends, whoever, even yourself. I mean, I'm a Vape Domain owner. Of course, I'm going to go in lockdown with my juice. I don't know how long they're going to lock us up for. So, but I didn't have enough juice to even help 10 of my customers, to say the least. But I could give somebody something just because I know. And I'm not saying it happened all the time, but those that you really felt, yeah, shame, this person needs a fix. And then we had a handful of people also that, because illicit cigarettes was available, well, not freely, but you could get that
Quite easily.
From anywhere. And I also heard some people got some of the cartons that they bought, there was only grass in. So how true that is, I don't know, but it's true. Well, that's what they said.
It was very sad to see the desperation some people were going through. I mean, I still recall my mother-in-law, who's unfortunately still a smoker, how the 70-year-old was running around, well, not running around, but driving around Alberton looking for cigarettes so that she can buy. I mean, it's really, really, it was quite sad. And I think there was, I mean, we need to be honest that there were some bad actors in that time that were supplying individuals through networks, and that created its own illicit, or for lack of a better word, a black market in the vape space too.
Yes, because as soon as
that black market still exists, like, make no joke, that black market still exists
to this day.
A lot of guys really just, and please excuse the phrase here, but like took piss during COVID. Guys selling bottles of juice that were $150 at normal retail levels for like 2-3 grand. These are also the guys that have opened up subsequent to COVID these like get rich quick, I'm gonna make $1 million out of vaping stories, and just absolutely stuff it up and screw it up. These are the guys that are selling to kids. These are the guys that are not in it for the good that vaping brings to society. Like,
True.
and you know, even in saying that, we were unfortunately one of those guys. Like, if we had sold a single bottle of juice to anyone in COVID, everyone would have known. Because of the scale of what Vape Cartel is. And, you know, our hands were tied. I was fortunate that I could like go into the shop, get some stuff, put it in my back pocket and walk out and take it home. But that's as far as we could get. I mean, we know of guys that were selling thousands of bottles of juice during that period of time. And all of a sudden, end of lockdown comes and these guys are opening up 5-6 shops.
Yeah.
Where? How? Like,
Yeah.
how?
But this is not the only time that the industry or the small business industry had faced issues. Around about 2 years ago, we've been hit with an e-liquid tax. And the e-liquid tax has changed the market significantly. And it came at the worst time because it also saw the advent or the growth of the disposable market. And because of our lack of regulations, that's been outstanding for 2018, it's now allowed the disposable vape market to infiltrate every retail space and even informal space throughout the country. So not only do you have a tax issue, because as you've indicated, a lot of your customers buy free base nicotine, 6 milligrams. That price now doubled, almost 200+% of a retail price of a bottle of e-liquid. And the manipulation of the market then occurred with a double whammy, the tax and then obviously the disposables. What impact has that had on your business? And have you seen this manipulation, for lack of a better word, with your customers and their purchasing habits? Elna?
Yes, definitely. When the tax hit 1st June 2023, people obviously bought a lot prior to 1st of June, thinking that they're not going to pay this price. I mean, we all fought this tax in the best capacity that we could, but we all know that us in this industry, we sometimes feel that we just fight our own fight. But yes, it definitely had a huge impact on business, especially in the first couple of months, because now people after 1st of June, they don't even come to your shop because
Well, there was no need to.
yeah, because they bought for another 3 months enough stock. But now the new customers are not coming to your shop because everybody knows about the tax, and then no one's prepared to pay 700 odd rand for a bottle of 100 ml e-liquid. Me and Keiran had a discussion earlier, actually, that long fills is actually the best thing that could happen in our industry, because now the variety, people can now choose, where in the past you could only get a bottle of juice, for example, in a 2 milligram, but now people can take that same bottle and you can either have a 0 or you can have a 2 or a 3, or you can, your own choice of nicotine, if I can say that. But yes, we still work our butts off since after lockdown, just to make it. Yeah.
Because you've also had to be forced to diversify. You're no longer just a vape shop. You now also offer other products just for you to keep the doors open.
Yes, I sometimes, if my husband listened to this podcast later on, I'm not going to play him this section. I sometimes tell him that I now feel like I'm like a spaza shop, which I'm not.
Oh man, I thought you were going to tell us you're posting photos of your feet on the internet.
I do have beautiful feet, I must say.
You should tap into that market. It's huge.
Anyway, so we've brought in a little bit of the electrical side into our business. We do a little bit of solar. Les does a lot of other things.
Because he no longer works in the shop anymore.
No,
he has to work out there.
He's there for me so that I can be here. But
Okay.
That is my baby.
Okay.
It's been my baby forever. Les is just the brain, but I'm the worker.
Okay. But before 2020, Les and you were in the shop.
Yes.
But then after that, Les has had to go out and find other things to do.
Yeah, good, because the money is not there. We have to work hard. We have to do other things. Yeah, so we do a little bit of solar, we do a little bit of that, but like I said, but my main focus is still Vape Domain. But just to give it a bit of a cash boost, I have to do something else as well.
Okay. Keiran, your side? I know that you've diversified into other spaces.
Yeah, so I've got Tackle Cabin as well. That's a going entity next door to Vape Cartel. But yeah, we always got our eyes open for other opportunities and stuff like that. But coming back to what you're saying with Elna, that black market still exists, and it exists in the same sphere that it did in COVID, but with new players. We have to look at the history of the vaping industry in South Africa and what came about as sort of like, I don't want to call it that, but like this elitist group of people. And it was a hobby, it was fun, it was exciting. And I'll never forget those days. You brought in 500 starter kits of a new product, and within 3 days, they're gone. You know, the hype around it has died down. The love for what you're doing has died down from a consumer point of view, and it's become 100% just another consumable product.
It's just a commodity now.
Correct. You know, like this is not artisans going out and perfecting a sourdough loaf of bread. This is literally just people going into Spar and picking up your run-of-the-mill packaged sliced bread now. And, you know, from that perspective, while our workarounds have been effective in terms of the disposable market has made it accessible to so many people who just don't actually care. I want my nicotine. I don't care how it is. Like, don't rip me off. Like, this is what I want. And a lot of that has filtered into some of the old school vapors as well, where, you know, popping the lid off a bottle and adding your nicotine shot to it is too much work. So you've got a whole bunch of guys out there now who've literally replicated local juices, international juices, and are selling untaxed stock straight to consumer that is not a long fill. And this is happening all over the place at a huge scale that people who are not in the industry do not realize. You know, I've got customers who will come to us if there's something specific that they're looking for, but they openly tell us, I buy my juice from X. He gives it to me at less than what I used to pay beforehand. I don't have to mix it myself now, and it tastes the same. You know, so that black market is definitely still rife. As with anything that is going to be taxed, you're going to get this situation happening.
But it's not only that. I mean, the tax, from a manipulation point of view, is also introduced the very thing that they were proposing to try bring a stop to, and that is addiction, youth addiction, access to youth. And if you think about the way the tax was modeled, it was modeled on a per mil scenario rather than a nicotine strength scenario. So now you could purchase a disposable that has 2 mils of e-liquid in it at 50 milligrams instead of a 3 or a 6 at the same price as a disposable theoretically that wouldn't have nic. And naturally, the market has been flooded with 50 milligram nic disposables, and they are literally sold everywhere. I can remember not so long ago going into a barber to have my hair done, believe it or not.
Beard.
My beard.
Yeah.
And they were selling disposables in the barber shop. And I've seen them everywhere, even people that, you know, school moms that are selling disposables on the side. And whether they're taxed or not is you can't really tell, given the fact that it's only 2 mil. So that cost could be easily absorbed into the retail price. So I believe that the whole tax thing, in conjunction with disposables, has created a far worse scenario than if they had just listened to the likes of or yourself to say that, you know, the tax is going to be problematic if you use it per mil. I still don't understand the reason for a tax on a less harmful product, but so be it.
You know, it comes back to alcohol as well. Like beer at 4% is not charged the same tax rate as a spirit at 45. This is what we argued for months and years before this came in. And, then it came in, there's like, thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. A more harmful product like a 50 milligram salt nic can never, ever, ever stand in the same class, even as a 3 or 6 milligram vapable product, let alone a 0. I mean, it has no nicotine in it.
True.
And it's still taxed at the same rate as a 50 milligram.
Yeah.
So now we're going into the other big thing that's pending, and something that's been on our horizon since 2018, and that is the new Tobacco Products and Electronic Nicotine Delivery Systems Bill. Take a breath. If you've looked at this bill, can you envision what it's going to mean for your business? Have you? Do you look at what, if this bill passed in its current format, what would it mean to you as a business person to abide by some of those regulations?
I'll start with like the most basic. Like, I'm screwed. Not even from a business point of view, just from like my own self. Like, how can you expect me just to not vape? Period. Because that's essentially what it's pushing. Like, if you live in an apartment, no vaping. If you work in a building that has a public area, like, no vaping. If you drive in your car with your buddy who also vapes but's not vaping at the same time, like, no vaping. Like, you're going to jail. Like, are you joking? Like, it's madness. It's absolute lunacy. And then there is the other implication. We have one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. And you just like willingly going to go put people out of jobs. Like,
no, advertising.
Great stuff. Like, this makes a lot of sense.
Because there's no advertising.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to display the products.
Correct.
You're not allowed a website.
We have to hide it. So why must we have a shop?
Because exactly. I mean,
like black market, here we come. Like, sweet. I'm not paying any more VAT. I'm not paying any more tax. Like, shop, cash only business. Let's go.
Effectively.
100%. Like, I mean, that's essentially what's going to happen here. Like, you've got people who are keeping people employed, who are actively looking to grow their businesses and in turn hire more people. But you're like saying, well, we actually don't care about you. Like, whatever, like 12, 15,000 people employed in the vaping industry on small businesses. Go out in the world there and be employed.
So if you just think about it, in 2020, we had a complete sales ban. And we saw what that did with the illicit cigarette market. This is just going to be a similar scenario, but a more slow burn kind of thing. And what really perplexes me is that nowhere in history have we seen prohibition work. And don't kid yourself, this is a prohibition. If you're not allowed to have a product displayed, if you're not allowed to advertise a product, if you're not allowed to have a website, and you're not allowed to even promote it in the sense that this product is less harmful than a cigarette or so forth and so on. Plain packaging. They're even talking about contents of the e-liquids, so that's a flavor ban in essence. So effectively, what we're talking about is they're using words to say that, no, we're not banning vaping, but everything that makes vaping work and makes it effective, we want to remove. But we also don't want you to show anybody that you have these products.
True.
Hide it, so forth. And they think that these products will then just suddenly disappear. But effectively what Keiran's indicating is that a lot of people will just say, you know what, I still have mouths to feed. I still have a livelihood to make. They're going to go underground. And they're going to, and then we got a whole issue around standards coming into play now, because corners will be cut, and that's all because appropriate science-based, evidence-based policy has not been looked at. I know that Elna, you were at one of the public hearings, and you had the opportunity to speak at one of those public hearings, but if it wasn't for me asking you to join me, would you have ever known that these public hearings ever existed? Because there was no advertising on it.
No, It doesn't get advertised anywhere.
Well, it's kind of like how vaping's going to be. Like
Yes.
you can't
Yeah.
advertise, so we don't have to advertise that we're having public hearings.
Correct. So yes, if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't have known even where it was, so that we could attend something like that, or myself.
Fortunately for you, it was on a Sunday.
Yes.
But for the likes of, for example, Keiran, your closest hearing was in Heidelberg on a Friday, which unfortunately is like the busiest time of
payday Friday, an hour's drive from Alberton. Like, yeah, this makes sense. Like, I can just close my shop, and maybe be one of the 30 people that got to speak.
Well, I was both at Heidelberg and at Pretoria, and I know in Heidelberg they turned away a lot of people, and many of those people happened to be small vape shop owners in the Vaal Triangle area that never ever actually got into the hall, so they didn't even get access to the hall. I know in Pretoria there was some kind of small riot outside because they closed the venue. But if I stand correct, you were the only vape shop that were given an opportunity to speak on that day. I can't recall any other independent vape shops. I know that there was one or two vapors that had a say, but in terms of an actual vape shop, didn't happen. If you were given an opportunity, which there might very well be an opportunity for you to address the Portfolio Committee of Health, given that they have a brand new committee with very, very new individuals, what would you like them to know? What would you like to them to understand if we're given an opportunity to address them?
First of all, the bill in its current form is not ready to be passed. It will absolutely kill our businesses. It will, because we can't survive with something like that. Secondly, you want to pass this, why can't we just start off with a proper regulation in this industry? We need to be regulated. Us, that's a legit shop. We've got real customers. We don't drive around and sell to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. We've got proper people. You want to take all of that away from us by implementing something like this. It's going to be catastrophic, Kurt. If you can only, I'm actually terrified thinking that there's a possibility that they can just pass it the way that it is, because by the way things are going currently and the way that government do things, it's hard to have faith that they might just consider a little bit of what we say. You know, if I have an opportunity to tell them something, I really need to tell them nothing that you've been doing since 2020 has worked. It's still not working. Visit our shops. Come see what we do. And then say, okay, we're going to have, wouldn't it be nice if they could actually have a sitting with all of us? That would be great, and then get everybody's input. But now that's not the reality of the situation. We've got a lot of things, like Keiran said, out there that get sold, and all these people that made their millions during COVID for selling thousands of juices. We know, because you hear when it reopens, people talk. I mean, and you sit. You've got to pay your, sorry, I'm going back there, your rent, because you don't dare pay your rent. Even if you haven't been there, you pay that. You pay the water, electricity bill, etc., everything else that's with it. And you just never make that back. You can never recover from that. You can't recover from that. We just have to pick up the pieces and go forward. But they are going to destroy our industry. Maybe it's what they want, Kurt, because they are definitely not listening when we tell them that there is a healthier alternative out there. Just speak to people, real people. Why don't they sit with you? I mean, I would love to have a meeting like this or a chat like this with some of the health committee people, because that would be a real thing. Yes.
Yeah. It's not even that listening to us. In my view, they're not even wanting to listen to us.
Yes.
That's sometimes the sense I get. Keiran, what would you like to share with the committee members if you were given the opportunity?
I mean, probably nothing that they'd like to hear. Probably nothing that I wouldn't be put in jail for sharing. But yeah, it's just absolutely ridiculous. You know, at the end of the day, and this is, I think, what a lot of governments around the world fail to realize. Like, we don't need them. They need us.
True.
They represent the people. The people do not represent government. The people put them there. You cannot turn your backs at the 11th hour and kill something that we've been pushing for, and you know this, since day one. We've been pushing for regulation in the vape industry, but fair, relevant regulation. You know, where vape juice had to be manufactured to certain standards. There was no more of this bathtub/kitchen sink juice flooding the markets. The fact that they've gone completely haywire, in essence, to effect a ban on the product, doesn't make sense. And, you know, the biggest news about the tax coming in is, oh, they're going to generate 900 million rands worth of tax revenue from taxing e-liquids. Like, okay, cool, good luck. But, like, where's this money going to come from if you now just ban it? So, yeah, I think, again, it's just, it would be blunt, it would be harsh, but I think they also just need to realize, like, they represent us, not the other way around. And if you're working against us, well, we're going to work against you. And by that, this is going to go underground. If we're not paying taxes, they don't have any money in their coffers. How long are you going to be there for? You know, when the gravy train runs dry, trust me, they're out of there. So don't allow that to happen.
It's not only that. I mean, it's also is that I've struggled to understand how they're even going to implement it. And I second what both you and Elna have basically said, is that they need to come to us and have a discussion and actually take a look and walk the process with us, with an independent vape shop. I think a lot of them have been sold a lie. I think a lot of them have been, in fact, I probably know that most of them don't even understand what a vape product is and what a vape product does. And I'd like for the committee in this particular scenario is to maybe just pause and take a walk through and have a chat with tobacconists, have a chat with vape shop owners, have a chat with vape consumers outside of the approved method of engagement. I think in the previous committee, it was always hiding behind the approved method of communicating with them. If they are truly a government of the people, then they should take off a couple of days and go visit an independent vape shop. Yeah, go visit the people and actually have a cup of coffee with them and hear them in that setting, not in a setting that gives you 5 minutes to have your say on a bill that obviously drives a lot of emotion. I think that's just the issue, is that not spending the time actually speaking to the people.
Yeah.
So at this juncture, thank you very much, Keiran and Elna, for spending some time with me to have a discussion around your business and what it means in the grand scheme of things. I know I won't. I know I'll see you soon again, but thank you very much. If there are any customers that have fantastic stories, please send them my way. I'd really like to have a conversation with actual individuals that have managed to change their lives with harm reduction. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching another episode of the PackBreakers. If you enjoyed our content and learned something, give us a like and subscribe to the channel. You can follow PackBreakers on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. You can also follow us on all our socials on Facebook and Instagram, VSML_SA. But all our information is saved neatly and concisely on our website, vsml.co.za. Thank you. Hey everybody, Kurt Yoya from VSML. I have some exciting news to share about our podcast, The PackBreakers. We're shooting at an incredible location, The Shed in Silo. Check them out at www.theshedinsilo.co.za. Get ready for a visual treat. We'll be showcasing the stunning venue and state-of-the-art facilities offered by The Shed in Silo. From their spacious event spaces to the cozy cottages, this place has it all. Imagine a panoramic view, indulging in the farm-to-table cuisines at this restaurant. Fantastic cuisine. And relaxing with the refreshing drinks. Fantastic coffee. The Shed in Silo offers a truly unforgettable experience for anyone who appreciates nature, comfort, and style. So, mark your calendars and join us on the PackBreakers as we take you on a virtual tour of the Shed in Silo. Trust me, this place will leave you speechless. Stay tuned for more updates on our up-and-coming episodes at this extraordinary venue.